As I get started here, quick story. I was actually at a conference in Dallas earlier today, and reminded me of a conversation during with a gentleman about that process that we all go through when we first teach our kids to do a task like cutting the grass. And when you go through that, and I know many of you can relate. The first thing you really worry about is teaching them safety, right? And then you just spend a lot of time saying, hey, this is a dangerous machine. How are you going to do it? I know a lot of people, they got the gas machines and all that sort of stuff with it. I thought I'd be really smart, and I did the push one, right? And all it turned out to be was a bunch of blades spinning around. So I'm not sure it was any safer. But that's just kind of the first step you take with your kids when you teach them to cut the grass, and then have them walk along with you while you're doing it, and then you're watching them really close as you're doing it. And as they're going, they start going all over the place, and I'm used to the grass being cut really nice and straight, and of course they're making mistakes, but you gotta let them do it, right? You gotta let them work through those mistakes as they go. And then you get to a point where you're like, okay, I'm gonna go inside and let them cut the grass, but you're really kind of still looking through the window. And it's really not till that last step when you're inside and like they got this, it's gonna be okay. You can kind of sit back, you can watch Sunday football and know that the grass is gonna get cut. The reason I tell this story is because the thing that we got to remember as we go into this trip is at some point we got to let the kids cut the grass. So we are going to definitely be safe as we go through this process, but there's going to be some mistakes that they're going to make along the way, and that's okay, right? So as you guys are seeing that, just know that the whole point is for the students to be part of the build, the students to actually build the houses, and honestly, your kids are going to do an amazing job at that. Along with that, we'll have a great opportunity for them to strengthen their relationships with Christ, and really, it's providing that atmosphere of learning a attitude of service for their entire life. So those are some of the things that we're going to be going through, but let's get into a bit of the logistics here for it. Next slide, please. All right, you're going to hear us talk about Baja Bound a lot. They're our partner on the ground there in Tecate, Mexico. They've been building houses in Ensenada for a couple of decades. We've been partnering with them now for a couple of years. These are our folks who have all the connections down in Mexico. They run a business that is both licensed in Mexico as well as in the United States, with a headquarters in each. So that's our partner on the ground for a lot of this parts going through it. So as you hear us talking about them, that's who we're discussing with. They'll be integrated within our build. They're providing a ton of the logistics at the camp. They're making sure that the food gets cooked. All those sorts of things are working through with us. As far as the trip, I'm going to talk primarily all about what the main group does. There's about 40 people that will go down for an advanced team. I'll just barely touch on that, but 99% of what I talk about today is going to be all about what the main group is. We got 320, we're at 321 students today. Yep, it's 321 students going. So, as you imagine, it's a large group. Plus, we'll have adults with us as well. So that's what I'm really talking about here when we talk dates and plans and all those sorts of things. Is that main group? Leaving on Saturday, March 21st. It's going to be early, early in the morning, and 5:30 at King's Academy, and then hopping on buses and headed down to Mexico. We'll return on this. They'll return late on Friday the 27th. They'll be returning late on Friday the 27th, also by bus. We'll stay at a separate compound called Rancho El Nazareno. As mentioned, the food's going to be provided there by Baja Bound. We'll talk a little bit more about our cell phone policies and blogs and how that communication is going to go out. But big picture for the trip down, students will have access to their cell phones while we're in Mexico. They will not have access to their cell phones, but there'll be daily blogs with multiple posts of telling parents and everybody else what's going on in Mexico and how everybody's doing. Obviously, we'll have adults that will all have cell phone connectivity as well. And then once the students get back across the border into the United States, they'll have their phones back, and they'll be using those to text you when they're almost back home and all that good stuff. So what does the house look like? I've got a quick video here for you, and I'll kind of walk you through what the house build looks like in about 3.5 minutes. I'll start here. All right, perfect. So, for the last couple of weeks, we've been working with our partners at Baja Bound to get the concrete slabs laid. So, we've been following along as the slabs have been poured, making sure that they're all are designed to specification, so that when we actually get there, what you end up having is a concrete pad with a bunch of lumber just sitting on it. All right. As you can see here in this time-lapse video, the students are going through and they're building the main walls on the first day. For a good first day, you'll get up three, maybe four walls. As you can see right there, they got up all four walls, but they didn't do any siding so far on this one. The next part that you're starting to see on the right-hand side is they're starting to put up some of that siding. Obviously, you have to paint the siding before it goes up. So something you're not seeing in this video is there's a whole station doing nothing but painting off the side of the video on the left. Then they're starting to build some of the internal walls as well. What you have nearest to us is the main living area, and then in the back half of that house right there, you see two small bedrooms. So you end up with two bedrooms and a main living area. In the front, three total windows on the house. It will be have some basic electrical, although we will not set it up to the actual power grid. So it'll be wired for electrical. We'll have power outlets and lights. We'll test all of those on a gas generator that every site will have, and they'll bring that generator with them. But the actual hooking up of the house to the local power grid will be done later, not with the students there. It is just because the families will have to coordinate for that afterwards. Um, Other things you'll see going up here is they're starting to put on the roof rafters coming across, so that'll be a big event. That's all part of day two. It's one of the days that, as a house lead, I tend to be probably the most concerned because you start having a lot of people up on ladders, and it's truly a safety portion here of just making sure you've got lots of eyes, lots of people spotting each other, making sure that we're being safe as we go up there. It's not a super tall house. It's obviously just one story, but it is, 8 feet up there, which is a good distance to fall if anybody were to have a problem. Here on the third day, you can see they're going through, they're finishing out joists and starting to put roofing on top. They're also starting on the inside. You can see them starting to run a few of those wires that we talked about. Windows are being installed on the backside as well, and then they'll start to put up some sheetrock. Um, Square footage, that's a great question. 16 by 20, if I remember right. Yeah, that sounds right. 4 sheets of plywood on one side and 5 sheets on the other side. Coming down the tar paper, honestly, and you can see one of the cool things on this build was you had members of the family actually up there. That's who the young children are helping out with the house, right? It's their house that you're building, so not uncommon for them to want to come in and be part of it. That tar paper is the most important thing with the roof as far as keeping these houses dry. The shingles that we put on top are really just to protect the tar paper, but that watertight seal comes from the tar paper there. Once the roofing goes up, that's when everybody gets to get up there and take a good picture and kind of see what they've made. While this is also going on, what you can't see is all the sheetrock and putty and those sorts of things going on the inside. There'll also be a door installed with a good lock. That's probably one of the most important things with these houses. It gives a secure place for the family to stay. Most of these families are staying on the properties, but it'll be in makeshift homes. A lot of the construction down there is actually done with old garage doors. So imagine four garage doors kind of set up next to each other is what they're using, or people living out of broken down cars and things like that. So they're generally on the property while you're making it. Yep, so that's kind of the big picture build there. You can see that departure we're talking about, taking buses down to San Diego at a shopping mall about 20 minutes east of San Diego, is we're going to be swapping over to vans. Then at that point, everybody will be taking a van into Mexico. We'll keep those same vans for the whole time that we're in Mexico, drive the vans back across the border on Friday. Those buses will be all set up and ready for us, which is why on that Friday, the students will load into the buses and drive straight back to King's Academy on that day. Next slide, please. Thanks. Yep. So for those who aren't familiar with Tecate, there we are up in Sunnyvale, going all the way down to just barely across the border into Mexico. At any time, we're about 25 to 30 minutes from the U.S. border while we're doing this trip. Next slide. The work sites themselves, we're looking at about 3 to 4 adults and 16 to 17 students on the 15 houses that we're going to be building. Also, this year we have two different outreach programs going on. Each of those is going to have about 30 students, and right now we're looking at four to not possibly even 5 adults on each of those outreach ones. A lot of great stuff going on at those outreach sites to include a little bit of light construction, but also feeding the families, helping to clean up a park, doing all of those sorts of events, and really just a chance to engage with the local communities where we're building those homes. When we get back to camp in the evening, every night we have chapel and worship, all sorts of card games, soccer, basketball. There's a big fire pit. We've talked about the cell phones and daily blog updates, but you'll see a lot of pictures and stuff from that throughout the week as well. Next slide. The camp itself, you may have heard before that we were sleeping in tents. We actually changed that a couple of years ago. There are now all of these bunkhouses. They all look very similar to this bunkhouse that you see here. Cinder block construction. There is no heat in them, but because of the cinder block construction, once you get, 30, 40 people in there, it warms up pretty good at night. Still definitely recommend a cold weather sleeping bag for all our students who are headed down there. Every place does have toilets and showers, plus there's additional porta potties outside just to make sure that everybody has plenty of opportunities to use the restroom. Obviously, there'll be adults in each cabin. For the chapel and dining, we have a large tent that we do dining in, and then we have outdoor chapel with weather permitting. Safety, like I mentioned, a lot about that partnership with Baja Bound because they know what's going on there in the local areas. Lots of concerns as we always cross over the border, so we're particularly staying on top of that, just paying attention to how border crossings are going and making sure that everything's in order. We'll talk a little bit about passports and those sorts of things later on. When it comes to crime, Tecate, it's not a very wealthy area, so there is a lot of petty theft. So we always remind the students don't bring bags and leave them sitting on the side of the road and those sorts of things. We do have on-site medical at each of our locations. Plus, we have different medical personnel that we bring with us. We have contacts with local hospitals there in Tecate, and we have plans to get back to a U.S. hospital in a relatively short period of time as well, should that be needed. At the camp itself, we provide security patrols 24/7. Particularly, obviously, we're most concerned in the evenings when we're back on the camp, but those patrols are just as much to make sure that students aren't running around after hours as they are to make sure that we're just keeping the compound itself secure. And like I said, at the work site themselves, good gloves, paying attention to what we're doing, all part of that safety that we're concerned about to make sure nobody hurts themselves while we're building these homes. Slide, please. Always worth talking about violent crime. It's obviously one of the biggest concerns we have. So when you look at violent crime statistics in 2025, total violent crime is about a little over 21,000, over 120 homicides, robberies over 3,000, active shootings 77, and more than 1,200 guns seized, right? And when you look at these numbers, that can be quite alarming. Next slide, please. What makes it a little less alarming is those are the numbers in the Bay Area. Now, why do we feel safe? Knowing that we live in an area that has these sort of crime statistics? Well, the reason is because we live here. We know about the area. We know what places to go to. We know what places you don't go to at night, right? We know all of those sorts of things. If you look at the next slide, that's a big part about what we do in Mexico as well. So we spend a lot of time working with our partners down there to keep track of what is the current crime statistics where we're at. Obviously, spend a lot of time on the U.S. State Department's webpage as well. We enroll in what they call the Smart Traveler Enrollment Program through the U.S. State Department also, just to make sure that we are paying attention to what we know with regards to crime in the area and any sorts of violent crime that could be going on, any threats potentially to our students as we're going across here. You can see from the U.S. State Department's websites, pictures there that the real areas that we're concerned about are far, far to the east of where we're actually staying in Tecate. So when you hear about concerns about travel restrictions in Baja, that's the area you don't want to go to. To that same point, though, we won't be driving at night, or we'll do it'll be by very, very rare exception that anybody will ever drive at night. We make sure that we're back at our compounds doing the good, safe practices that we should be doing. We also, through our partners in Tecate, We maintain contacts with the city council, with local hospital administration. We'll routinely get escorts when we go back and forth across the border on the Mexico side, just to make sure that everybody's being safe and doing all the things that we need to be doing. And we've talked about medical personnel. Slide. Like I said, you'll see, particularly on baggage drop-off day and things of that nature, you'll see the advanced team out there. These are mostly junior and senior students. There are students who've stepped up and said, "Hey, we're going to help make this trip happen." So when you see those students out there moving bags and those sorts of things, please thank them. And if you have a younger student who's looking for that humble servant leadership opportunity, encourage them to apply next year. Next slide. Passports on the passports, biggest thing is we're looking for those to be valid through August of 2026. So if your passports aren't valid through that time, now would be a good time to really make sure that you get on top of those. Those are just one of those travel restrictions that we do have concerns about. Immunizations, the biggest thing is to be up to date on tetanus. Other immunizations are a family discussion, so I'll let you guys work through those. Medical care, we've hit on all of these, I think, pretty well. Just so you know, what are the things that we're looking for from our adults? These are the expectations and responsibilities for them. Biggest thing I would take away from this as a parent, as also as a parent who's taken my kids on this trip many times, is you have lots of adult supervision. Yeah, it's a lot of kids. They're going to have a lot of fun at camp in the evening, but we still make sure that everything's safe and appropriate. Slide as we go through. Breedy, do you want to talk any more on the communication part here?
Yeah, so I just wanted to bring some clarity for communication on the trip. We did speak a little bit about not having phones, and that is true about almost all. That's a rule on all of our trips, so it's not just Tecate specific. Your students will have phones as they travel, so when they're on the bus the whole way down, when they're on the way all the way back, they will have their phones. I know some people are like, well, we want them to record things and remember it and take pictures. Well, there's disposable cameras and digital cameras that we encourage, and they are allowed to bring. That's definitely up to you, but we will be on every single trip. This one specifically for Tecate, there is a daily blog on Canvas. I will say, if you're not on Canvas, if you don't know how to get on Canvas, please let us know. Rachel Hirota is our Canvas hero at TKA, and she can help you with all things Canvas. So if you're not on, if you haven't seen it yet, please let us know so we can make sure that you're viewing those blogs. Robert will upload a lot of our pictures that get sent on the blog are actually uploaded through a Flickr account that are private. And so you can click that link through the blog and be able to see pictures and things that are taking place. Again, we want to make sure that there's service and things like that. So the blog might not be posted the same time every day. Please be patient, but we want to do our best to make sure that you guys are communicated with, that you see what's going on. And that you also can partner with us in prayer about your kids and about the good work that they're doing because they are doing a great work. We also wanted to make you aware of an app that your students are going to be told to download. I know every parent has different restrictions with what their student may or may not be able to have on their phone. And so when they ask for this app, we want you to know what it is. So it's called Pronto. This app works alongside Canvas. It's a system that they already use. You should have received an email, I believe, tonight around 5 p.m. Um, talking a little bit about Pronto, what that is. If you haven't seen it yet, feel free to check your email after this meeting. It goes into a little bit more detail about how we vetted this app and why we're using it. It works alongside an app that we're already using. And this app is not for you. This app is for your student, and your student, it's being used for students to communicate with staff for safety reasons. For some trips, they're in the middle of an airport. Sometimes there's a meeting situation or some information we want to send, and so we want to make sure that the communication can happen that way. We do want you to know the reason why we chose it is because this is not meant for privacy. This app is meant for accountability. This app is meant for transparency, for clear communication, and for the ability for TKA as a whole to be able to have eyes on all the communications that are happening between adults and students at any time. And we're looking to use this app in different ways in Kings as different events and things are happening. We want to use it and have it as another space for communication. So you'll hear more about it. But we are enrolling this for service trips and are really excited about it and have been testing it out. So when your kids ask for Pronto, please download it pronto. My little pun for you. Um, this is a wonderful picture. Jason, if you want to talk about this picture.
Just trying to get everybody excited about what are some of the experiences your students are going to have. As you can see, yeah, it's a lot of building, it's a lot of work, but it's also a lot of fun and a lot of engagement with our families down in Mexico. Every day you get a chance to stop, have breakfast or have lunch, all those sorts of things. So, like I said, it truly is about fellowship along with getting a house built. I know we've covered these tools a few times, but just to kind of help folks, if you're still looking for ideas, good pair of gloves, something with a leather hand on it is always good. A good pair of gloves will never go wrong. When you're looking at hammers, there's a lot of different ones out there. What you're really looking for is a 18 to 22 ounce, something in that range, framing hammer. Framing hammer will be slightly longer. It'll have a waffle head. It won't be a smooth head on the end of the hammer. Standard, 20 to 25 foot tape measure, some sort of tool belt. Like you can see the gentleman in the orange shirt there is wearing a tool belt. Also the gentleman in the purple shirt. And then a box cutter and a pencil. So all good tools to have for every student. Sleeping gear, like I said, a good cold weather bag. It won't, it's not like it's going to be below freezing, but something that's going to keep them warm. Work clothes are always good. Boots, tennis shoes can work, but boots are nice. Rain gear, we never know if it's going to rain. With work clothes, old clothes work as well. So old clothes that you're happy to throw away are not a bad thing. And then as an accessory, it is dark at night, so having a flashlight is something that we recommend every student bring with them as well.
And Jason, if I could just add, I know there's a question about, well, if my kid's on outreach, do you need these materials? And I know that that might be a question mark for you. So there will be, so I have two questions I want to answer. So the first one is, some of these might be helpful. I think some work gloves, if we're working in the community and pulling weeds or planting or beautifying a park, some gloves would be nice. We are doing some beautification of the community, so whatever tools would help your student. I am going to uh, figure out maybe a clear list of what those might be as we're figuring out exactly what we're doing for outreach. But a tool belt is also helpful. It helps you carry things around as you're walking around and grabbing things. So I'd say like a tool belt is always helpful, especially if you think your student might go to Tecate again and may build a house. It's an investment into them building, or maybe some bigger chores around your house. I don't know. So you can definitely invest in that. It can't hurt. A pencil goes a long way. So your students might just like to doodle. I don't know. Send them with a pencil, send them with things to do. I definitely think the sleeping gear is a need. Work clothes, regardless, is necessary, right? Don't send them down in their favorite clothes. I also just want to speak to all of my parents of girls. In the same way, we're not expecting any of our sons to be out there without a shirt on because it's hot working on a house. We also want to make sure that our girls are not wearing very short shorts on top of a roof, or that they're not wearing really tank tops or things that would just be inappropriate or put them in an uncomfortable position. We want to make sure everyone's covered and can just work in a comfortable way. So, as you're even considering clothes, I say like talk to your kids. Hey, show me what you're thinking about wearing. And I know a lot of your students. I love them. So if you're not sure if this is good, why don't you go talk to Ms. Bree? She'd love to let you know if this is a good idea to wear on a build site or at outreach. Tell them not to bring their most favorite new essentials hoodie or juicy outfit. Like they need to bring some clothes that are down to ruin. It's a good Goodwill run. Go get some bigger clothes, some things that they don't mind ruining because they're going to get dirty. They're going to get paint on it. And you don't want them to be so sad about their brand new shoes or shirts. So if you have questions, more questions about any of that dress code stuff, you can send it my way. I'm happy to help you. Our dress code is in line with TKA dress code, but you know your kids better than anyone. And so I would just really be a voice of reason and encouragement as they're packing and preparing to make sure that they have the best experience. The other question I want to answer is I'm realizing that some families don't know, is my student on outreach or is my student building a house? Well, all of our outreach students have been notified. So if you did not get an email saying that your student is on outreach, or if your student didn't receive that email, it's because they're most likely building a house. How did we choose that? Well, part of our metric was if your student has never been to Tecate, mostly a lot of the freshmen, we really want them to experience what it's like to build a house. It's one of the coolest things I've ever done. Been going down for almost 12 years now, and I'm actually jealous and a little FOMO that I can't go build a house this time, and I'm doing outreach. So we're really excited for your kids who are building a house. For those who are doing outreach, they are going to be doing some great work too. So if you're still not sure after this, if your student got that email, check with them, and if not, you can always ask me. They'll definitely know on March 3rd when we have our next meeting for our service trip breakout, because we'll actually be breaking them out into their work sites. So that's when they'll find out which site they're on, who's in their site, are they on outreach, all the things. So you can know to stay tuned there. I hope that helps answer some questions. And our
Good
next,
stuff. Couple of quick tips, since you hit on it. All the tools, the student tools, they pack those in their bags, right? So if you start hearing stuff about tool drop-offs and stuff like that, that's for the big saws and stuff that we're taking down. All student tools, their hammers, their gloves, their tool belts, all that stuff, they pack in their own bags. Second thing, when it comes to the bags, so the bags will get, and you guys will get all these dates and stuff later, but just so you understand as you plan, the bags get thrown in the back of a semi truck, all right? And we take all those bags down early. So what you can't do is you can't show up and have all your students' clothes thrown in a plastic garbage sack. It has to be a good, solid piece of luggage. What I recommend, and what really works well for people, is get a super large duffel bag. Doesn't have to be a really expensive duffel bag, but a really large duffel bag that they can put both their clothes and their sleeping bag in. So then they have one bag that's got all their stuff in it. All that stuff is going to get sent down, like I said, via semi truck, and then the advanced team is going to make sure that all their stuff is at their bunk for when they arrive. So when they get there on Saturday, after they have been on the road all day, they'll just get out. All their stuff will already be at their bunk ready for them. So that's why putting it all in one big bag will be helpful. And more details will come out on how we do baggage tags and all that sort of stuff. But as you're getting ready to prep and what to get your students with gear, a really large duffel bag that they can put everything in one can be quite helpful. Thanks, Bree. We will continue to look for some parent volunteers. If anyone is still interested in that, please let us know. We're running short on time that we could still get you on the trip. But having um, as Bree as well, we've served on these trips with our kids. It's an amazing experience to do as a family. So if you get an opportunity to do that, we want to try and help make that happen for you.
yes,
Yeah.
I just want to say this. You guys, I know the parent, I have a sophomore in college, I have a freshman in high school, I have a 7-year-old. Like, you want to know what your kids are like in the wild, right? What are my kids like when they're away from me or at school? Like, who are their friends, right? We have all these questions sometimes about what is this other part of their world. And as parents, we want to be a part of those things. And realistically, we can't always go to all the things. And sometimes they just don't want us to, right? Let's just be honest. But if you want to know who your kids hanging out with and who are they around and just how awesome the kids are at TKA because they're the best kids ever, you should come on this trip because you are going to see just something so amazing. I fell in love with all of your kids at Hume, and I love the way that they hang out and they love each other and the friendships that they have. I see it every single day. It's my favorite thing. You guys have some amazing children. I can't wait to build with them and see how God uses them in all their gifts. But I want you to see it too. So if you have any ability to come down with us, even for just that reason alone, I really encourage you to come and participate in that and be prayerful about that. So there's my little plug. I don't know why I put it. I'll be sending a link here again as well after this meeting. So if you're feeling led and want to sign up, you'll be able to do that through a form. So stay tuned for that. Oh, it's me again. Okay. So, so next steps. You can stay tuned for an email. I want to say one, thank you all so much for your patience. Tecate is our biggest trip that we go on. And yes, I'm a leader on this trip, but I actually oversee a lot of the logistics and check-ins for all 10 trips. So there's a lot of emails and things coming my way, and I'm doing my best to make sure to get back to all of you. So I thank you as I'm learning my role and for all the grace you've given me this year. I'm very grateful for you guys. But an email is coming. I want to make sure that you know you will be informed. We will be putting information in Canvas, as well as sending out an email to all of you and your students about what does medication look like and when are you supposed to send that. A reminder about luggage drop off. I am going to send a form out to make sure we have your students' t-shirt sizes. I'm hoping that we can get it next week in their home group, so you can let them know to make sure to let their home group teacher know. But I'm hoping for that to be an easy way to get their t-shirt sizes. But when are they picking that up and what that looks like? We also have a Baja Bound waiver through the ministry partner that we're with in Tecate that needs to be signed by you. So I'm going to make sure that you get that in this next email and that please, please, please look to fill that out. It's very important that that is filled out. Um, we also will need a minor, like a consent to travel form for the minors. I'm looking to see if I can maybe get a notary person to come on campus and be available for parents to get that done quickly. I'm trying to figure out what's the best way to serve all of you in this way, but that will need to be a form that's signed and notarized. And information is going to be coming out about that, if not tomorrow, Monday. And then for all of our parents, our volunteers, our staff, we are all going on this amazing trip. We do have our trip meeting on March 3rd. It's during chapel. It's at 11:40. When you show up, you might go, I don't know where I'm going or where I'm supposed to go. So please make sure you check in the front office, as you should always do. Check in with Miss Amaya and you let her know your name. She will tell you which classroom to meet in, as we'll be breaking out in our sites. And so not everyone will all be together at first. So please make sure you check in there to figure out where you should be meeting if you are a volunteer. And if you're just looking to volunteer, we'll get you up to speed on what all of that means. But just know 3-3, we have a meeting to meet in our sites and get going that way. Am I forgetting something, Jason?
No, I think you're hitting all the good stuff.
Okay. So you will be receiving an email. If you don't get it right away, I promise it's coming. I have to have meetings about meetings to make sure you get all the information. And so that includes a lot of different people. So thank you again for your patience. We're really excited about um, building with your family, building with your kids, and ultimately them getting to be like, wow, I built a house for a family who didn't have one. Like, it's the most humbling thing, and we can't wait. Here is a quick little who to contact form. This might help all of you if any of you have questions about your current billing situation. As much as I'd love to help you, I don't deal with anything billing related. I'll just forward you back over to accounting. So you might want to follow up with accounting if you have any questions in that regard. If you have anything, questions about A-Team or driving, or anything specific that way, Jason will be your guy. And then any outreach or maybe like Tecate specific questions containing your child, I'm happy to help or direct your question wherever it goes. But this might help you get some of your emails answered a little bit quicker, and I hope that helps you. Um, I don't know if I know Stuart, you're here. I don't know if there's any other questions that you feel. Um,
Jason, could you speak to security at camp and security at maybe the work sites or the drives to the work sites, things like that? There's a couple
Absolutely.
questions about
Yeah,
that
you
in the
bet.
chat.
So at the sites, we look at generally between 4 to 5 different security guards throughout the evening. The camp itself, it's I'd say about a 7 to 8 minute walk to walk the perimeter. Obviously, I've walked it many times, but those security guards are our local security that we've coordinated with at the camp. All right. Well, also in addition to that, we'll have a couple of our TKA staff and parents that we also during the before the students go to bed, who are also out and about, just helping to make sure that students are doing the right things and kind of patrolling and helping that. So you have two parts there with security at the camp. The overall management of behavior, that's being predominantly handled by our TKA staff, and then the security after everybody goes to bed and stuff like that. That's a security guard that we have come in. With regards to going back and forth to the sites and at the site locations themselves, we partner with the local city council. So they'll go out and they'll either go with us back and forth on some of that. They'll go out to the sites and have folks it won't be uncommon for us to see a police car or somebody drive through on occasion, that sort of stuff to do. In addition to that, we're also partnering with two local congregations. When we're down there, we have two pastors that we work with. because this is their congregation's homes that we're building. So we're very much tied in with the pastors as to what's going on in the neighborhoods and that as well. So just like here in the Bay Area, a lot of your security comes from just being familiar with where you're at and where you're going and those sorts of things. The parts where we're going to, like were mentioned, very rural. So not so much the sorts of concerns that we have out in East Baja with like gang violence and those sorts of things and cartels. Stuart, what other questions did we have in there?
Um, I think we are pretty good. Yeah, I think we're pretty good.
Outstanding.
Look at all that information. Let's go, team. All right, you guys. Well, we definitely want to honor your time. We know that we gave you a lot to digest and to think about. If there's something you feel we missed or we didn't cover well or you have more questions about, we're happy to answer those. You can email us. You can email any of these people listed here on the screen if it's specific. But we're just really excited to go down and build. Again, if you feel Holy Spirit tugging on your heart, even if there's like anything stopping you from going, if it's something that we can talk through, like you'd go, but there's this reason why you can't, please just reach out to us. Let's see what we can do to get our volunteers there and to make that happen. God is a provider, He opens doors, and it's a miracle. Like if you go down on part of this trip, you're literally participating. Someone's been praying for years for a house. Can you imagine like praying and living in this space with your kids, like not having a roof over your head, and then you pray, and then these kids come down and build a home. And then you get to go to sleep at night in a house. Like, and that's a miracle. And we get to do it 15 times. It's so crazy. Like, God is so good. He is the one who builds a house. If He doesn't do it, we just build it in vain. So, if you want to be a part of that in any way, you already are by sending your kids. So, thank you for that, for trusting us with that and investing in your kids that way. But if you also want to participate, you yourself as an adult, we would love to have you. And we're thankful that you'd even consider it. So, with that being said, Jason, would you like to close us in prayer and we can be on our way?
I gotcha. Two other quick questions that did come up. Adult volunteers, yeah, if you can bring a basic camera and stuff like that, it'll be helpful. But if not, we can hook you up with that. And then I didn't mention it. Our youth pastor is Pastor Ding this year. He's a local youth pastor. I forget which congregation he's with. I should remember, but I don't. But anyhow, he'll be down there with us the whole time for service every night. So that's how chapel and all those sorts of things will be done. And then we use a student-led worship team. So it'll be a good time for all of that stuff. All right. Well, thanks again, everybody, for being on.
Jason,
Yeah.
can you touch on one more thing?
Yeah.
Luggage. Can you touch a little bit on luggage drop off and what
Yep.
that will be? Again, luggage on the way down versus luggage on the way back.
You bet. So,
And then can they bring a suitcase and a bag? That like how many pieces of luggage can they have? Things like that.
you bet. So with regards to luggage, we'll do that on the Tuesday before the trip, and Bree will send out additional details, but it'll be before school starts in the back parking lot. I highly, highly recommend soft-sided bags, something like a duffel bag. The hard-sided luggage, it'll just it tends to get beat up because it's going to be thrown in the back of a semi truck and all of those sorts of things. So large duffel bags are generally the way to go. Um, those will get pre-positioned down there for the students. On the way back, they'll bring their bags back with them. So when they arrive on the bus coming back, everybody will have their own stuff and then won't be waiting for it on the way back. It'll just come back with them on that part of it. Stuart, there was a second part to that question. What did I miss?
The way down versus the way back.
Yep.
And then how many bags can they bring? Like, can they have a separate bag for clothes and then a separate bag for um, suitcase, tools, things like that?
Got it. So one bag for all your clothes, tools, all those sorts of things should go in one bag that'll get sent out on that Tuesday. On the day that they depart, small knapsack, right? Like a small backpack, something like that. Something that they can, throw a couple of snacks in, be great, but no luggage is being brought down on Saturday when they're getting on the bus. That should be all sent out on Tuesday before they come down. And then once again, it's really important on that luggage that it be some sort of actual bag, not just a black plastic sack, because black plastic sacks get ripped open and stuff gets lost and all that sort of thing. All right. I don't think I see any other questions. So once again, thank you guys for your time, and I'll pray us out. Dear Lord, Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this group of parents. We thank you for the trust that they put in you, that this will be an amazing trip and an amazing experience for their children. We pray a blessing upon all of them who are heading out on this trip. We pray a blessing on all of these families that you'd look after them and take care of them. And we just thank you for your guidance and wisdom. It's in your son's name we pray. Amen. All right. Thank you guys. Really appreciate you. I'll have a good night.
Thank you.